Welcome back to Sports Unfiltered. Once again, you are listening live on WICR, the voice of Iona College. And Matt, before we got cut off last segment, didn't mean to end that early. I was going to ask you, what did you think of that call? And did it get you any more hype for the wrestling tonight?
Honestly, yeah, because I think that getting all the publicity for the WWE, and now with these two different types of shows, I think it's going to be a great experience for new wrestling fans and old wrestling fans. So I'll be definitely looking forward to into the AEW one, especially. I don't know,
Exactly.
it's
And I
intrigued me
feel
a
like
little
a
more.
lot of people who don't watch wrestling anymore, used to watch it as a kid maybe, or just want to start watching again,
Mhm.
this would be the time to do it because everyone's going to be bringing their A game trying to beat the other opponent. It's almost like a WWE versus WCW type of thing.
Definitely.
So that was amazing wrestling back then 20 years ago. Maybe we'll get that again now. But we are going to talk about, obviously, my favorite sport, my favorite time of year, hockey time, baby. And
NHL is definitely back in
the
up and rolling.
NHL is back. And I will be back at the Nassau Coliseum Friday. I will be leaving the school around 11:30, going to the Collie by 12:30, and tailgating all the way up to puck drop at 7 o'clock, because that is what us Long Islanders do at the Nassau Coliseum. But, Matt, I believe we already have a game going on. The Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the Ottawa Senators, and a shocking start to the game.
Yeah, with a 1-0 score from Brady Kachuk, assisted by Eric Brainstorm and Connor Brown. So in the first 25 seconds of the game too.
Yeah, and obviously it's a regular season game. No one's going 82. No one's going 0-82. But you had to think that Toronto coming out was going to destroy Ottawa tonight, and they still will. Ottawa, I feel, is like the Baltimore Orioles and the Kansas City Royals of the MLB. Even though the Detroit Tigers actually had the worst record, they're that bad. They are going to be a terrible, terrible hockey team this year. As we see the Miami Dolphins, neither of those teams might win a game. Maybe they will go 0-82. Maybe Toronto will come back and end that. But Ottawa scoring the first goal of the year, that's something to talk about. That's crazy. And it's from Brady Tkachuk, who probably is the one absolutely quality player on that team, top 50 player in the league. And Eric Brandstrom, the defenseman, is going to be a really good player one day. A lot of people say he might not be ready yet. But for him to get an assist, a primary one, on that first goal of the year, I'll have to watch it, but it seems pretty interesting for that to be the first goal of the NHL season. So, Matt, obviously last year we are coming off a St. Louis Blues Stanley Cup. And were you surprised when you saw that? Because a lot of people, when they saw the Blues win, the Blues aren't like a perennial winner. They're usually an underdog team that doesn't really get far in the playoffs or choke at the last minute. The Blues winning the cup and doing it off of Layla, a good story there. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's an incredible story. So, what did you think about the Blues win, and how do you think they'll be this year?
I think it was a great win for that team because like I even saw like the updates on the series. Like it was going back and forth, honestly. And then, seeing the Blues actually taking it, I think that's gonna be a definitely momentum shift coming into the bulk of a new season. So with that momentum shift and with that championship on the back of their heads, I think it's gonna be a great way to start off and they're facing a good team already, Washington
Capitals. And the Blues obviously get to host Wednesday night rivals tonight at 8 o'clock because they won the cup. So they get to be the center of attention. They get to get their banner raised. They get to have the ring celebration. And speaking of Stanley Cup rings, they actually went to the house of Layla, who obviously is suffering from a pretty bad disease. I wish I could tell you exactly what it is, but I cannot. But they went to her house and gave her very own Stanley Cup ring.
Wow.
Because they dedicated their whole entire playoff run last year to her. And it works because they won the Stanley Cup.
Prayers up.
She has now a memory for life and a ring that's going to commemorate it.
Yeah, definitely.
So just a great story there.
Definitely certified it, and prayers up, man. Honestly, that's a great story.
It's an absolutely great story. I agree. St. Louis Blues playing the Washington Capitals tonight. I think they take all that emotion from winning last year, from giving the ring to Layla, who will be in attendance tonight in the first row. They will beat the Washington Capitals tonight. But again, first game of the season, it doesn't really matter who wins, who loses. You're not going to know a lot from seeing just one game into the season. A guy to look out for, though, on the St. Louis Blues is Robert Thomas. He's a rookie playing on the second line right now. He's going to get first unit power play time. And at this time next year, we could be talking about him as one of the best players on the Blues and in hockey in general. All right, so what else we got tonight, Matt?
All right, we got the Vancouver Canucks against the Oilers happening again tonight at 10. I got us. I'm looking at it right now. They have the Oilers have a lot of players out for some of these games right now.
Yeah, and the Oilers really are a one-trick pony, maybe two if you count Leon Draisaitl, but I feel like he's a product of the one-trick pony in Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid, obviously the best player in the entire NHL, but top to bottom, the Edmonton Oilers, one of the worst teams in the NHL, and they turn in goal tonight to Mike Smith, a free agent signing, who really disappointed last year for Calgary and probably cost them a Stanley Cup. Because Calgary, with all their offensive firepower, if they had a real goalie, if David Rittich or Mike Smith step up last year, they probably are hoisting the cup and not the St. Louis Blues. So for Edmonton to turn to Mike Smith with that lack of bottom six forwards, even past Draisaitl and McDavid at all, they don't have many forwards at all. It's not going to go well for Edmonton this year. They probably could win tonight on home ice because I like teams in home openers, but their opponent, the Vancouver Canucks, are coming off a surprisingly good year. They have the reigning Calder Award winner, Rookie of the Year, for those who don't know what that means, and Elias Pettersson, one of my favorite players in the NHL. The captain of my fantasy team last year, won me a championship. Sadly, did not get him back on my team this year, and now I'm looking for new team names. So if anyone has a new team name for me, message me, tell me, because I'm having trouble. But Vancouver Canucks, I like that team. I think they do make the playoffs this year as a 7 or 8 seed, and every year they're only going to get better. They are going to be the best team in Canada before you know it. And going back to the Toronto Maple Leafs, because I didn't really get into them, I really talked about Ottawa. They got Mitch Marner back, obviously. Mitch Marner was holding out as a restricted free agent. He came back before the season started. He's playing tonight with John Tavares and Kasperi Kapanen. Kasperi Kapanen, known for scoring a goal in juniors, which won his country, Sweden, I believe, the championship. It was a wraparound goal. It was a number one play on SportsCenter. It was incredible. But he's finally getting a chance at a top six forward role with Mitch Marner, and now, sadly, captain, former New York Islanders captain, John Tavares, now the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. That came out about 10 minutes ago, or maybe before the game. I heard it 10 minutes ago. But John Tavares being the captain, awful news for Islander fans. But we forgot about him. The New York Islanders made the playoffs last year. They went further than the Toronto Maple Leafs. I feel like everyone could put that to rest.
Yeah, honestly. And you even made, remember you made a project this past semester about the New York Islanders and saying, you know what, we pushed away from, John Tavares. Now look at us now, and look what we did last season. Now I think coming into the momentum, and for me coming into the season, I think they had the chance to actually even push even further to make it in the playoffs this season.
And Pajama Boy, now that he's in the past, we have to push forward as New York Islander fans. We have to push forward as a franchise, and there's many good things to look forward to if you're an Islander fan. Obviously, Belmont getting a brand new arena in 2021, having 28 games in the Nassau Coliseum this year compared to only 13 in Brooklyn, which every Islander fan hates. So times are good for the New York Islanders, and they have the same exact team as last year, besides a very sad goalie switch in net, because I know how much everybody, including myself, loved Robin Leonard in net. Matt even knows the name now because Robin Leonard stole the hearts of everybody around the NHL world last year. But I think it's the system. I think the system is going to make any goalie good. Barry Trott's the magician when it comes to defense. Mitch Korn is a magician when it comes to making goalies get the best out of themselves. And that's why Semyon Varlamov has a very good chance to replicate what Robin Leonard did. And Matt, I believe we have one more game.
Yes, at 10:30 is going to be San Jose Sharks and the Vegas Golden Knights facing up against each other. I think this is going to be like a somewhat subpar matchup because this is like middle teams around.
Whoa.
I think that
this is probably two of the best teams in the Western Conference going at it tonight. And these are two teams that absolutely hate each other, bearing back to when the Vegas Golden Knights became a team 2 years ago. Vegas finally found a rival, and it's San Jose. Evander Kane in the preseason, they played each other in the preseason last Sunday. Evander Kane got into a massive fight with two Vegas Golden Knight players. I forgot exactly who they were. And then he turned around and punched the referee and is now suspended for 4 games. So these two teams have very bad blood, and they are going to both be really good this year. The Sharks might have lost their captain, Joe Pavelski. I still think they're going to be a playoff team. The Vegas Golden Knights have a chance to be the number 1 seed in the whole entire Western Conference. So they are definitely not a subpar team.
Yeah, I was about to say, well, wow, dang, he got knocked. He apparently got knocked out on the ice to the ice. So I was like, wow, he collided with Pavelski too. So I was like, man, that's crazy.
Yeah, and obviously Vegas being number 1 team could mean they're going far. I'm going to give my Stanley Cup pick in a minute. I don't think they're making the cup, but I do see a very good year for Vegas. And Cody Glass, a rookie, number 7 overall pick 2 years ago, finally getting his chance. He will play on the top line tonight with, I believe, Max Pacioretty and Riley Smith will be his line mates. I haven't exactly looked, but he will center those two players. So the Vegas Golden Knights going to be a good team. We shall see how that game goes tonight, and we shall see how the season goes for them in their third season in the NHL. So we're going to talk more about the New York Islanders next week. We're sadly running out of time tonight, but we have all year for that. I mean, it's the Islanders. We're going to be giving Ranger updates, Islander updates, so don't worry about that. Even Devil updates, because the New York Jersey Devils are probably going to be really good. But before we go today, I'm going to give my award predictions. Matt, I don't believe you prepared any award predictions. I didn't exactly tell you to because you're not the biggest hockey fan in the world. I usually, when I give these award predictions, explain why I'm doing it. I'll try to do my best, but again, running out of time today, so we'll see how it goes. But we will start, as usual, with the Calder Trophy, which I just said is the Rookie of the Year. And I believe the Calder Trophy this year will go to number 1 pick in the draft, Jack Hughes. And you might say, oh, everybody's going to pick Jack Hughes. He's number 1 pick in the draft. That is the only obvious pick I picked out of all these picks. So don't worry, I'm not one of those, which is just going to pick the favorite in every single award. Jack Hughes is getting to play on a line with Taylor Hall. He's getting to play with KHL forward Nikita Gusev. And, I could see Jack Hughes scoring up to 85, 90 points in his rookie year. And how could you not pick that to win the Rookie of the Year? Moving on, I'm going to pick for my Vezina Best Goalie Award, Sergei Bobrovsky. Sergei Bobrovsky in the offseason moved from the Columbus Blue Jackets to the Florida Panthers, and I think the Florida Panthers are going to have a monster year. I see them being a top 3 seed in the Atlantic Division. Sergei Bobrovsky has already won a Vezina in the past 2 years ago. He will bounce back again and being in a comfortable spot now in Florida. Not a lot of pressure on him there. I see him winning the Vezina Award and getting upwards of 45 wins this year with a very good goals against average and a very good save percentage. The Norris Trophy, a lot of people can pick Brent Burns. They're going to pick Erik Karlsson. They're going to pick Victor Hedman, who was a very good candidate last year. I'm picking Tyson Barrie. Tyson Barrie moving over from the Colorado Avalanche to the Toronto Maple Leafs. He will anchor the power play for the Maple Leafs, playing with John Tavares, playing with Mitch Marner, playing with Alexander Kerfoot. I mean, Tyson Barrie, you can't go wrong with that when you get to play on a power play with elite talent like that. William Nylander, Austin Matthews, that is a very, very solid hockey team. And Tyson Barrie being the anchor of it, going to get a lot of assists, probably going to get a lot of goals. That is why I see him winning the Norris Trophy in his first year with the Maple Leafs. If not him, his teammate Morgan Riley. Whoever gets more power play time on the Maple Leafs will win the Norris Trophy. So now we get to the 2 biggest awards. The Hart, which is the MVP award, and the Stanley Cup, which obviously we all know what that is. So Matt, I'm going to ask you before I make my 2 picks, do you have a team that you could pick that you think will win the Stanley Cup this year? I know you're not the biggest hockey fan, but you know a little bit about it. So who do you think will win the Stanley Cup?
I think there's going to be, well, I'll give you my matchup if you don't mind.
No, you can do that. Perfect.
Maple Leafs and the St. Louis Blues. I want St. Louis to repeat this season. They might have a chance. Who knows? But I think with what they did last season, especially in that Stanley Cup series, I think they could do it again. But don't be surprised if the Toronto Maple Leafs, come through and actually take a big advantage and take this cup.
Well, if that happens, Islander fans, I give you permission to scream and cry that John Tavares just won a Stanley Cup. So you're allowed to be mad again if that happens. We as Islander fans deserve to win the cup before that guy. But my picks are a little different than that. I am going to go first with Stanley Cup since you did it. The Stanley Cup, I have the Boston Bruins returning to the Stanley Cup for the 2nd straight year, and I have them avenging their loss from last year to St. Louis and beating the Colorado Avalanche.
Oh boy.
The Colorado Avalanche, a very young team led by Nathan MacKinnon, who got over 100 points last year. He gets to play on a line with Mikko Rantanen and Gabriel Landeskog. Probably the 2nd best line in all of hockey. The best line in all of hockey, the line of Brad Marchand, Patrice Bergeron, and David Pastrnak on the Boston Bruins.
Then that means I would probably see Colorado facing Vegas then. That's going to be their team. I feel like that's going to be the team.
Well, or the Blues. You could see Colorado facing either of those teams.
Yeah.
In the Western Conference Finals. I could see either, but I think Colorado, being a young team, will get through to the Stanley Cup and will be a rematch of those 2 cities from the 2007 World Series when the Red Sox swept the Colorado Rockies. Everyone remembers that great story, winning 21 out of 22 for the Rockies.
Yep.
But this is completely different. I see the Avalanche losing probably in 7 games because the Bruins went 7 last year and lost. So let's bring them to 7 this year and win. And with 1 minute left, I will make my Hart Memorial pick. And that pick is Alexander Barkov of the Florida Panthers. And a lot of people listening might not even know who that is because he does not get talked about nearly enough. He is a candidate for 100 points this year, and he plays on, I believe, the best power play in all of hockey with Jonathan Huberdeau, Keith Yandel, Mike Hoffman, and Evgeny Dadonov. That is an amazing power play. He is going to play 25 minutes a night, honestly. Number 1 line for Florida, a very improved team. I really see him winning the Hart and him still not getting the respect he deserves because he's Alexander Barkov. And quite frankly, he's never going to be a household name in this league.
But yeah, honestly, you got to go with the underdog sometimes. But hey, you might never know.
Yep. I mean, I used to pick Robin Lehrer to win the Vezina all the time, and obviously we saw what he did last year. I wish him all the luck in the world in Chicago this upcoming year. Obviously, he's dealt with a lot. Everyone knows how much talked about that last year, but definitely good luck, Robin Lehrer. I hope you do it again with Chicago, and I hope you get a bigger contract next year. So that's going to do it for this week's edition of Sports Unfiltered. I'm your host, Jake DeMisa.
I'm Matthew George.
And we are signing off.